Just start.
Okay,
We can see you finally.
you can see me?
Yes.
You see I'm on the road, eh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to prove to you guys that I'm not trying to be expensive. Mm. Yes, thank you very much. I first want to apologize for not being with you. I was supposed to be with you last week on Tuesday, but something happened and I was not able to join. But luckily today here I am. My name is, they call me Masood Gipanya, but my names are Ali Masood. You can call me Masood Gipanya. I'm a political cartoonist, and I have been as political cartoonist for now professionally, but I also work as a radio presenter, producer for Power Breakfast on Clouds FM. I am a founder and president of KP Motors, the first local electric vehicle manufacturing company. What else? I am a father of so many kids. I'm a friend. Yes. So I think that's enough, I guess, for
That's
introduction.
okay. If anyone has a
Uh,
question, they will ask. So you will present and give
okay.
them a bit of time to ask questions, Masood, at the end. Maybe you present for 20 minutes and then they
Okay.
will ask questions.
Okay. Are you going to lead me by asking me questions, or I should just proceed? Because I know okay. I'm happy to be here, and I know a bit about this platform that you've been talking about, a number of issues, especially challenges that are facing our, kids. And I happen to be a father, a deceased boy. My son Malcolm, my firstborn, he passed away in 2021. Am I getting old? 2020, I think. Yeah, 2020. Yes, he passed away. He had a problem called muscular dystrophy. And for you who don't know much about the disease, it weakens the muscles. Because a human being is depending on muscles to be able to lift. To lift himself or to lift some other stuff. So for him, for that disease, it weakens the ability of your muscles to lift uh, anything, from spoon to mobile phone to anything. So my son had that, and in his last 10 years, he was on bed. He couldn't move, so he was not able to go to school. I tried to look for, how do you call it, homeschool kind of assistance, but the system does not allow here in Tanzania for that. So he ended up just staying, but he was very brilliant. He died, I think he was 20. Men have a problem of keeping ages and birthdays, etc. So he died, he was 20. Yes. Um, so I know much about that. But apart from that, I recently had a chance to talk, to present at the TED Talk here in Dar es Salaam, and I spoke about the problem that I also faced when I was in school, being slow in learning. And for me, as I said in that meeting or that presentation, that the kids who are slow in terms of learning, to me, they are geniuses, because I think of myself. We normally take time to do analysis but people don't understand that. you are slow because you take time to analyze each and everything that is being taught to you. They call it what? Is it? That's not ADHD, attention disorder. That is a bit different. You are just slow. So I got a chance to present, and I was trying to tell the audience and the society at large the importance of paying attention to these kind of kids. But unfortunately, as you may as you all know that most of our public schools, the classes are jammed with students. A classroom which is supposed to have about 40 to 5 students, you find it has up to 100 kids, 120. The class is full of kids. So it seems there's no time for a teacher to pay attention to individuals, to each and every student. So as a result, we have a very big number of these kind of kids who go through primary education, and some get lucky to get into secondary or level, A level, not being able to understand, but they are being carried as collectively. And some of these, they go up to universities, they get jobs, they hold big positions in our societies. But the truth is, they were not able to understand in their primary years. So for me, my point was to tell the government, the teachers, to see if there's a possibility to pay attention to this group, which is very, very big. Some are slow, as I said, naturally. Some and sometimes it's not about being slow. Sometimes it's about the teaching. The teaching, the facilities. The art that is supposed to be used when it comes to teaching, the skills of communicating. If you put all these together, plus the slowness or the sluggishness of learning, we end up kids. We have kids who are called stupid, wajinga, hawana akili, but the truth is they are very smart. Teaching systems, they don't understand them. So briefly, I think this is what I wanted to talk about. So when I heard about this forum, I said I wish I could come and give my experience about my son, but about myself, what I went through. I dropped out, so many times, because I was not understanding. For me, I see it's like you are at point A and you want to go to B. It's a straight path. But instead of going straight to where to the destination that you're supposed to be going, we have so many corners that we are going, then the interest, of a kid is lost. Because for me, learning is supposed to be fun and funky at the same time. So yeah, almost that's it. I think I haven't taken 20 minutes. That is too much for me. Is that enough?
It's fine, Masood. It's fine. We can open the session for people to ask you questions, but for me, I have a
Yes.
question for you, Masood.
Please shoot.
The first time I knew you, I didn't know about KP Motors. I didn't know about the slow learning process. I just knew the cartoons that you make.
Okay.
And I have actually known you more today than I knew you before. So I
Is
knew
it?
you about the cartoons. And it's been said in several platforms that in several platforms and literature that people who have a challenge with learning, they have their creative side really doing well. They're very creative, they're very innovative. And that's why we have an iPhone from somebody who was dyslexic. And you know, when we talk about Thomas Edison, the one who discovered the bulb, we are told
Yes.
that the teacher said, this child is not teachable. Go stay at home. And the mother looked at the note and said, look here, my son, your teacher is saying you're too clever to learn with the rest of the students, so I will teach you at home. See what he did. So for me, I really applaud your skills to do cartoons, and that's what made me know you first. But it's also amazing to learn much more about the inclusion and that you could bring up the story of inclusion in TED Talks. You know, when we met you, Clip Masood, on media, I didn't know that was being presented on TED, you know? So I've come to know this, and that's really nice. I am seeing a question on the platform. Are there different levels of slow learners? I would say yes. There's those who are extremely slow, there are moderate ones, and there are extreme ones because dyslexia is a spectrum. It can begin from mild to extreme. But I'm also aware we have many experts in the platform. Maybe someone would like to ask a question from Masood or would like to respond. You're welcome to contribute. Karibuni sana.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. This is Claire.
Yes, Claire, we're welcome.
Yes, from Hill Preparatory School. And I'm very, very impressed by Masood. There's a lot to talk about, but the most catching thing is that one of our students who is dyslexic, he has left the school now and gone to secondary school, but he's extremely artistic. And he is always drawing really, really nice pictures. And my dream for me as a person was for him to do little cartoons in the newspapers. So I'd love to see the cartoons that Masood has made and put you in contact with the boy's parents and see whether he can take it up further in Uganda as well.
Thank you, Claire. I also see someone else in the platform called Sorigi saying very interested in the creative work of Masood Kipanya. Okay, so I'm sure, Masood, do you have a way of sharing your handle quickly on the platform, or we can connect after this? Masood?
Yes, for you to view my work, you can just go to Instagram at Masood Kipanya, Masoud Kipanya, Kipany. Masood, as it is written there, Masood Kipanya. I think Twitter, X, it has a blue tick. Instagram, there's some impersonation there, but you can find Masood Kipanya with a black solid the mouse. It's there. That's my handle, my account. You can go and check. And about the kid who is drawing, yes, I can hook up with him. Her, I think him or her, I don't know. I can, yes, we can communicate. And the good thing about the modern about now is you don't have to wait or to get a newspaper to draw cartoons. Social media is the best platform. Like me, I publish my cartoons on a daily basis, on Mwananchi newspapers, which is part of the nation media for Tanzania's Mwananchi Communications. But trust me, I think people who read my cartoons on newspapers, I think it is less than 1/3. I think close to 80% of people, my readers, are seeing my cartoons through my social media platforms. You all know that I think in Africa or globally, the reading culture is declining rapidly. So people are depending on their phones to read newspapers, to get information, etc. So that's why you see for me, I have about more than 4 million followers on social media. So for him, he doesn't have to wait for the newspapers to give him a chance to become a cartoonist because it's a bit difficult. He has to go through some stages, you know. So for him to be admitted by editorial board, I think it's going to take time. But for a start, he can start with sharing his, you know, creative mind on social media, and I am ready to support him. Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you so much, Masood. You have another question from Tina.
Okay.
It's very kind of you, Masood, to support that young mind. And I really appreciate that you're willing to support that young mind. So you have a question here from Tina. She's asking, as you have explained and shared your experience, can you share the biggest challenge when it comes to the learning of a language or a new language? From your experience, Masood, can you share your biggest challenge in learning a new language?
Uh, for me, because I only speak only how many languages? I only speak Swahili and English, and for me, it wasn't difficult to learn. I don't know why, but I started speaking English at a very tender age. I mean, and I did not go to English medium kind of schools or international schools. I went to these normal public schools, which they were typically using Swahili for teaching. English was just a subject, but I fell in love with it because I don't know. I think art has a way of making it easy for so many things, especially when it comes to learning, as I said, if they do it your way, though. So for me, because I loved English. So for me, it was not difficult. So I cannot talk much about how it is, I mean, to others. But for me, it was not that difficult to learn other languages. Thank you.
Just to add something to your response, Masood, to Tina. So dyslexia is a specific learning difficulty, and the difficulties are different from one person to another. One could be struggling with one aspect of learning and another aspect of learning. So you can find a dyslexic person struggling learning a new language, but another one, it's not a problem. That's why it's defined as a specific learning difficulty. So the area Masood was struggling with might not be the same one that another student in your class probably is struggling with. So I see another question. Is slow learning associated with attention deficits? Okay. Is there a teacher in this platform who would like to answer? If slow learning is associated with attention deficit, is there a teacher who would like to take that question? Or any specialist?
Can I speak on that, Claudius?
Yes, Dr. Vincent Karibu.
So I can just say asante for the presentation that has been done by Masood. It's really motivating to see even media personalities coming up with such kind of presentations. Now, when you talk of slow learning, we need to differentiate some things here. You know, when we are talking of dyslexia, slow learning is part of a characteristic of a child or person who are dyslexic. So, being that we are talking of dyslexia, we should separate it maybe from slow learning being a characteristic of dyslexic, so that now we can have the dimensions of dyslexia as being mild, moderate, profound, and severe. Then now when you talk of ADHD, this is a condition of its own, which comes in three forms, where we have the attention part of it, we have the impulsivity, and we have the two combined, that is attention and impulsivity combined together. Again, somebody with dyslexia might have some traces of ADHD. And that is why I said in the last presentation, there's a guy called Ross Morrison. He wrote a book. In his book, he talks of information processing theory. He says that when we get information from the environment, it is sent into the short-term memory, which is a working memory. But if this information is not put into practice, it dilutes, meaning it gets or it is forgotten, and therefore it can't be stored. We can't retrieve it. And that we associate that person as being a slow learner. Why? One, because retrieval of the information was not done. Masood talks of the environment. What is the learning environment? Is it rich that this learner can remember what was taught yesterday? The way we are remembering our birthdays, the way we are remembering the names of our friends, the way you are remembering your phone number or your closest member of the family's phone number. Can it be done to what is being taught in class? Meaning, is the environment rich for our learners? So you'll find in other countries, the learning environments are very different. They're rich. They have all the different modalities which are enabling the student to remember the information. Therefore, they are trying as much as possible to manage the cases of dyslexic within the classroom setup. There's something else that has been asked, which is also very important. Somebody has asked, is it different from autism spectrum disorder? Yes, these are two different cups of teas. When you talk of ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder, it comes from a neurological kind of perspective with three dimensions. Again, it's a kind of disorder which is affecting the communication ability, affecting the interaction issues, and having repetitive kind of behaviors, which me and you or the audience in this platform might not be in a position to do those repetitive kind of behaviors. So again, these conditions that were identified by Individualized with Disability Education Act with a 13 measure, which have been broken further into 4 major domains by the same code of practice, they are intertwined. You find a child with ADHD having some traces of learning difficulties. You find a child with dyslexia having some traces of ADHD. You find a child with, Masood has talked of, muscular dystrophy, which is a group of genetic diseases that maybe causes a progressive weakness of the muscles. It's a condition that does not have cure, but it's just manageable with a kind of therapeutic interventions, maybe the physios and so forth, when it is realized early or when it is identified early. So a child with also MD, muscular dystrophy, might have some traces of dyslexic or maybe ADHD. So these conditions, which were 13 identified by IDEA, if put together, they were squeezed into 4 major domains. And that is why I'm saying they are intertwined. Communication difficulties might affect the learning ability of a person. This person might be termed as having a specific learning difficulty. So they are normally intertwined and they are different in how they present themselves. That's why we are saying ADHD is different from dyslexia. It will be different from autism spectrum disorder, and therefore it will be different from maybe communication disorder, physical challenges and so forth, and sensory issues and so forth. So one of the things that I might bring across, Masood, which is a challenge, which you can take it to your members also, if they're present, is that sensitization is what is killing issues in as far as inclusion is concerned. People lack information. It is not that they don't know, but they don't know what they're supposed to know. And that is why forums such as this are very key, and they're very important to be sensitized, even in social medias, you know, even in communication platforms, televisions, radios, so that people can know really that inclusion starts from me and you. We are all stakeholders in this journey, and it can happen to anyone at any given point of time. So it is not for Claudians, it is not for Vincent, who is a member of the Dyslexia Tanzania, or it's not for Prof, who is also a board member, but it's for all of us. It's a collective responsibility. And that's why schools are now enshrined to come up with inclusive policies that can accommodate each and every person in a school setup, because it can happen to anyone. So please, sensitization is very key. If you can have programs in the media that are talking about how best can we have, even if it is 5 minutes, it can make a great difference within the society. Just to talk about different conditions which we have in as far as disability studies are concerned, and which approaches are there now. Because I've talked in these forums several times that we should move from the medical aspect that we term these things as diseases, and we should move from that aspect that any form of disability, this in bracket, is viewed as a disease. It is not. It should move from the medical aspect to the social dynamic, that we should view the person and the disability comes later. That what can Masood Aliuzu, what can Masood do? He's a cartoonist now, having 4 million followers. I can't know how many followers are following me in social medias, but he is above me, and he has given his testimony on how he is learning. So between me and Masood, who am I supposed to term as disabled? That's a food of thought. So I leave it at that point, Claudians.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent. I appreciate your response, and you've clearly elaborated that dyslexia is different from autism and it's different from ADHD. And thank you again for always being on board. Masood, there's a question for you. It comes from Nsape. Nsape is saying, a question to Masood. Being a media personality, do you think the mainstream media is doing enough to promote inclusivity in our societies? If not, what do you think can be done better? Masood, that's your question.
I may not be in a position to say whether we are doing enough or not, but as a father, I think we still have a job to do. You know, the problem with our the programs that are being aired by most of these media houses, you know, media is supposed to be a trend setter, but unfortunately, it's like now the media is waiting for the society to say what the society, I mean, what it wants. If it's about gossiping, if it's about sports, if it's about betting, etc., we are running towards that direction. That's why. So everyone wants is fighting for the listenership, regardless of whether the programs that are being aired or the direction is not good for the society. So I think we still have a long way to go. Recently, we had a chance to invite the Claudius on Power Breakfast, but we did not have much time to talk about what she wanted to talk. But I still believe that currently we can focus on social media. Because the number of people who are listening to radios as just like reading, it is also declining. Why? That culture of sitting and listening to radio. People only listen to radio because they are on the way to work in the morning. So he is in the car or she's in the car. She switches on the radio. People don't watch TV, but people are using their phones. So what I can say is when we talk about media, let's talk about social media. It is so powerful. Let's think about establishing podcasts, that talk about these issues. People laugh because we are all you are either a parent today or a parent tomorrow. So if we start to talk about these issues, openly, I think we can bring a lot of changes in our society. So we are not doing enough because of one, as I said, we are not setting the trend. It is the society that sets the trend. So if the trend is about Simba na Yanga, boom. If the trend is about sports in general, if it's about politics or it's about betting, we go to that direction. So I think we have to we are not doing enough. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for that honest answer, that we should also think of social media and the power it's now taking. Okay, so there's another question, Mr. Masood. What can you advise the government to integrate the talent into the curriculum? As I see, the system is like stigmatizing dyslexics, to say so. So it's like, how can you advise the government to integrate talent? Because the system as it is right now is stigmatizing dyslexic individuals. I think that's
Okay.
what Sorigi means, yeah. So what can you advise the government, I think, yeah.
My answer will be a bit strange. It all comes down to poverty. Uh, for a school to be inclusive, I mean, the environment has to be conducive. As I pointed out about the number of students who are in the classrooms, uh, the number of teachers, the ratio teacher student ratio. That's why I'm saying it's all about poverty. So the bigger picture is to how do we solve the problem of poverty so that we can have so many schools, so many classrooms, so many facilities, teaching facilities, etc. So for me, I would answer it that way because I know no minister would say no to inclusiveness. It's only that how do we embed? I mean, how do we take on board? How do we bring them on board? I mean, the kids who are having all these challenges. You understand? As I say, for a teacher to include each and every student, the teacher has to have a time with each and every student. Do we have that? We don't have that. You understand? So I think it's all about poverty. How do we pay our teachers? How do we capacitate our teachers, etc.? I mean, kids with special needs, how are they treated? How do we include, etc.? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Masood. And this poverty problem, actually, I don't think it's all over. It's only in Tanzania. I know Dr. Vincent is joining us from Mexico, but it's not a problem unique to Tanzania. And that's why we try to use even our locally available resources, and we try to engage many parents so that they can also assist. The learning process does not only happen in class, my dear. It also happens at home. That's why we try to do community engagement. There's a way you can teach your child multiplication and addition at home without necessarily that child learning in a classroom setup. So the resources will never be enough for everything. Priorities are different. And that's why we try as much as possible to also have parents informed. So someone, Umi is saying, congratulations, Mr. Masood. However, you faced a number of challenges from your son to yourself, but today your name becomes very popular because you show the world what is within you. Your story is very interesting. This is a comment from Umi. So we have another comment from Koi. Koi says, in relation to the learning languages question, I also think that languages in school are not taught in a natural way, in the way we learned how to speak as a child. I find this to be something that I struggle with when learning a new language. Koi also says, in relation to what Vincent is talking about, I was recently diagnosed with ADHD and didn't know this was something I was struggling with for a long time. I was told by someone that most people who are dyslexic have a high chance of also having ADHD. Vincent, do you have something to say about this?
Well, I will first start by saying that there are some two hands which have been up for long. I don't know, but later, maybe after I've given this statement, you can just give them time to talk. Now, what Douglas has said, if I can use the second name because the first one might be difficult for me to pronounce. So it's what I've just said about it, that these conditions are intertwined. One might be having some characteristics of the other. So this case, which Douglas has used as his or her own personal kind of story, is that he has recently been diagnosed by ADHD. But again, that he's saying in the last part of his statement that most people who are dyslexic have a high chance of also having. It is true, because if you can't be attentive, remember there's a time in this forum I talked about different types of attention, the selective and the sustained attention, which most of the people with ADHD might not have the sustained or neither the selective attention. What am I supposed to hear and what am I not supposed to hear? That comes with the fact that they're affected by issues such as auditory visual ground perception, that things are happening on the background. I'm hearing so much things about within the background, but I can't focus. So his focus point is pulled out by other things within the environment. And then there's the sustained part of it. Can I sustain listening to Claudians for a period of 45 minutes time, which is the session for every period within the classroom setup? This is a statement that is a null and void, because to sustain attention for a young child for 45 or 50 minutes within a classroom setup without different kind of activities, that is where we are calling for a reform in the education kind of sector. That if periods are going to 55 minutes or 40 minutes, you can imagine this is a child who has ADHD. This is a child who has dyslexic. You expect this child to concentrate for 40 minutes without in between some activities, which now, I can just pick from where Masood has talked about the teaching pedagogy. Maybe I just stand there and I teach them maths, Pythagoras theory. It means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, without any pictures, without any videos, without any activity for them cutting out the figures, without any activity of measurement, without any activities of making them to go out of the to use different pedagogies so that I can engage these learners in their inquiry skills. I'm telling you, we'll be losing the track, because keeping somebody focused is not easy. So that's why this ADHD aspect brings about now the dyslexic point of view now. It makes the children now to have the characteristics of being slow in the learning process that I can achieve. However, my pace is not the pace of A. I am D because my pace is a bit slow. So please, teacher, please, can you repeat what you have just said in the first session? And some teachers might not, because they don't know that dyslexia or this type of conditions. So they might just say, oh, you're disturbing me. I need to go ahead. I need to do this. Oh, you're pulling us back. We need to finish the syllabus because it's exam oriented. Our syllabuses, or in the developing countries, our syllabuses are based on exam oriented, that they have to pass exams so that I can compete with school A and B, that we are number one. When the papers go out, this school is number one because it's purely examination oriented. But if you come to developed countries, you'll see a different part of you, that Education is not only an exam, but skill-based. What can you move out of that school with in as far as the skills, attitudes, and the knowledge are based? So that's what we can use Masood here. He's very talented in terms of his cartoon and so forth. That is a skill here in developed countries. You can't tag that student as being dyslexic. You will be taken to a court of law, and we are going to have a case for you that you have tagged or you have labeled my student or my child as being dyslexic, and this is a child who is performing very well in terms of cartoon. You're going to be opened a file case, you're going to be taken to a court judge, and you're going to be sentenced. That is how cruel and very hard laws are in developed countries. Thank you, Claudius.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. It's always good to
And
benchmark.
and,
And
and I want to just
yes, go ahead, Masood.
I wanted to second what Kaka Vincent had said there. I was when he was talking about the numbers of frequencies that are bombarding this kid while in the classroom. I just wanted to add, imagine a location of that school, which is here in Tanzania, we call Uswahilini, where, there's so many things going on outside of that classroom. I'm telling you, paying attention is becoming a very difficult thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Masood. Onesimo, I'm sorry, your hand has been up for quite some time. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Samuel, a teacher from Lindi, Tanzania. It's a rural area. I like how Vincent tried to respond on the sensitization about the inclusions. Being a teacher on ground, it's a big challenge, even to identify those learners who they need a special attention. So I can see we have a lot of specialists. Kaka Masood is here, is our model. I think he has a lot to do in our ground, especially, making the educators to understand and realize how we can also identify those learners that they need special attention. Because if you only speak about maybe the use of social media, some areas are in a remote areas that you cannot find even a network, but there's still learners over there, and they still need to get what is needed to be in their lifetime. So we still have a lot to do, and we still need to have so many specialists just like you guys to dedicate yourself and make sure that every educator has got a lesson on how even to identify those learners that they need a special attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I see it's 9 p.m. already, and there are quite a number of questions on the platform. I'm going to quickly answer those I can, and maybe we can continue the conversations on our support group. We have a WhatsApp group. You can post any question there. But let's quickly have this question from Nyimba from Ghana. My question is, at what age do we discover a learner with dyslexia? And if a dyslexia is a learning difficulty, we know, then how do we discover an illiterate with dyslexia because they can't read or write? So basically, he's asking, at what age do we discover a learner with dyslexia? So a quick one, Nyimba, there are signs at every age. At preschool, there are signs you can see. During school, the lower primary kindergarten, there are signs you will see. But when you see signs, it doesn't mean you straight away say this child has dyslexia. At the age of 8, I think it's the age where you can do screening and assessment, 8 years old, but there are signs at every stage. There are even signs at adulthood. So there are signs you will see, but when you see signs, it's not the time to jump and say, yeah, this is dyslexia. No, you have to do screening, you have to do assessment so that you know what's happening. And also, as we've talked before in our platform, challenges with learning could be because of the method of instruction. This again has been mentioned by by Dr. Vincent. It could be the method of instruction is not explicit enough. That's why I will get someone soon to talk about the science of reading. Reading is not a natural process. If you're not instructed properly, you could be struggling with reading, not because of dyslexia, but because of the method of instruction. And how can you differentiate an illiterate person from a dyslexic person? I don't know, Vincent, if you're going to pick up on this one. Because an illiterate person cannot read or write, and also a dyslexic person cannot read or write. So how do you differentiate between the two?
It's like asking somebody, what is the borderline between a mentally ill and an intellectually challenged person? Because a mentally ill person, the brain is intact. The brain has not been damaged, but intellectually challenged is a brain malfunction. The brain was as a result of some of the prenatal causes that happened during birth process. So if you come to now talking of somebody who is illiterate, this is somebody who cannot comprehend, cannot read. But dyslexia is a condition that came as a result of processes in birth or processes that are there in the teaching process. So this is somebody, if interventions are put in place, then there's a possibility that we are going to have an improvement in as far as his condition is concerned. That is dyslexic, because we are going to have interventions. Which kind of dyslexic part of view is this person having? Is it reading? Is it calculation? Is it writing? An illiterate person cannot read, neither cannot write. This is somebody who cannot recognize anything in as far as letters of the alphabet are concerned. So a dyslexia person is different because he or she can at least have some recognition. The only aspect is maybe to bring things into order, to arrange things into something we call in English syntax. The subject-verb agreements are not well, but he can identify a noun, a verb, an adjective, an interjection, the parts of speech. But an illiterate person cannot recognize. This is somebody who letters of the alphabet are like water and paraffin. He can't even cognate these letters of the alphabet. And if you can't cognate the letters of the alphabet, then it means that your ability to write and read is not there. And that's why we term you as purely illiterate.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vincent. I see someone, I could not have answered it as well as you've done it. Thank you. So I see someone asking, what is the root causes of dropping out of school? I never heard of it. Umi, my real own son, wanted to drop out of school at age 9. You know why he wanted to drop out of school? Because the environment was very, very unfavorable for him. If the teacher is so rude, not giving you attention, other students are laughing at you, you find that environment very difficult. So when the teachers especially and the fellow students are not understanding the condition, they laugh at you when you're trying your best, then that environment is not friendly. Children drop out of school. And that's why even in the US, a lot of people who have dyslexia are behind bars. Why? Because it affects their mental health. They feel like, now I cannot fit in this environment, then I can go into drugs because drugs are easier. They're not asking me to do Pythagoras theorem, you see? So, and we actually came up in our awareness sessions. I just want to share this quickly. We came across a school where students are calling a dyslexic person a zombie. Teachers have joined, they're calling that child a zombie. So you can imagine what kind of life this child is having in that school. Walking around knowing you're a zombie, you don't matter, nobody cares about you. And now you realize if this extends to home, then it can become very difficult for this person. That's why there's a very slim link between dyslexia and mental health issues. So I hope I've answered your question. Masood, your cartoon work is truly inspiring and impactful. Were there moments in your education or career when you felt underestimated? How did you overcome them? Also, were there any tools, routines, or environments that helped you learn more effectively when traditional learning methods didn't work for you? Masood, if you could help us answer that question, please.
Yes, I think I'll start with the second question. Yes, I did. I I I used I used my own efforts to read. I read a lot. I've read a lot. I've been reading a lot of books. I mean, in my life, I think I've read so many books. So I think that helped me to to increase my knowledge in different areas. Yes. And the first question, what was it? Whether I felt uh,
Underestimated.
underestimated? Yes. I mean, in the early, I don't know. For me, I think I had an advantage of being funny at school. So as an artist, I think that was my advantage because I started drawing at a very when I was, I think, when I started class two, if I'm not mistaken. So that developed the love for me, for my, being an artist at school. People tend to love you because most of the time they are given tasks to come up with graphics or whatever, maps, etc., and they depend on you. So for me, I was cherished by my fellow student. So the part of being, I mean, feeling downgraded or what, I did not have that because my problem was not vividly, shown to people, but I knew myself that I had a problem of learning. Yes. Thank you.
Also, were there any tools, routines, or environments that helped you learn more effectively when traditional learning methods didn't work for you?
I learned through a hard way.
Okay.
When I spoke about the public schools, you all know what it means. I mean, the environment are not conducive. So I had no choice rather than to persevere, to keep on pushing. And I say that later on, when I learned how to read English, I turned into reading, different books. So, and for kids, if you're not coming from a family that reads, that love reading, it's a bit difficult because you don't find bookshelves at home. So where do you get those books? So back then it was a bit difficult, but I kept on pushing. Uh, as I grew older, I mean, I developed that passion of just reading anything, journals, books, and everything. So I think part of the solution is also to encourage kids to read. I know it is not an easy job to make a kid read, but I know there are some publications which are full of drawings, cartoons, if we can. And I'm even thinking of, part of my contribution, I think, in the future is to come up with cartoons that will be uh, talking about these. To me, these are heroes, unsung heroes. So to talk about these kids, but also to give them, tools for them to learn easily. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Masood. And Nyimba Richard from Ghana is saying poverty is all over the place, also in Ghana. It's not unique to Tanzania. In Ghana, there's no training personnel and specialists. So dyslexic children are leaving homes. Okay. Fatma, a quick one. I want us to finish by 9:15. I know we've gone beyond our time, but let's finish quickly. Apart from school accepting inclusion and helping our kids, but they also need to be educated in making our kids with dyslexia or any other gift in making friends. Most of these kids are shy, and some kids take this chance to bully to others or segregate them teachers need to monitor and make changes. Okay, this is for teachers in the platform. It's hard for our children with dyslexia to make friends. And because they are shy, so maybe teachers can help or the schools can help in the part of socialization. And Leah says stigmatization is high to uninformed educators on dyslexia. This is true because that's why they're called bad names like slow learners, stupid, and all this. So stigmatization is actually high because of lack of awareness. Fatima says, I have noticed this firsthand with my son. He's not shy. He talks and plays a lot, but he's aggressive when he's super excited or too hyped, making other kids not understanding him, push him away. Thank you for sharing your experience, Fatma. And we have put our contacts on the platform. Please, people, if you're not in the chat group, the support group, take that link and join. And there's PK asking, is there a center for testing here in Kenya for ADHD, autism, dyslexia, etc.? Is it possible to test an adult? Yes, there's a center. Actually, for your information, Kenya is doing so well in matters of special education needs. We are in the same platform with people from Kenya. We are in the same global education. It's an education platform where we talk about inclusive education. And Kenya seems to be doing very well. I would refer you to KISE. KISE is the Kenya Institute of Special Education. And they are doing very, very well. They test your son, and it's not costly. And then after testing, they recommend a school. So you contact KISE, and if you're in our support group, I can give you more contacts and more information. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm not in the group. Please, can I be added? Yes, we will add you. There's a link in the platform. You just copy and you just join. Let me put the link here. It's easier like that. Just press on that link and it will take you to the group. Thank you so much, Samuel. Masood, I cannot thank you enough. I know you're a very busy person, so I'm thanking you for two things. One, you gave us a chance to come for an interview at Clouds Media. This is not something we take lightly. So you sponsored our interview. We came for an interview. As much as the time wasn't enough, we still appreciate it so much. And we also thank you for having attended this session. I'm sure you have touched lives. Thank you so much for your time. I know you are driving again from Morogoro to Dar es Salaam. I'm sure you've packed your car so that you can attend this session. We don't take that for granted. Thank you so much. And we still need you, Masood. You have a lot of influence. So we need your support. We need you to be our ambassador, talk about inclusion wherever you are. And I don't know if you have any closing remarks. Masood, welcome to give your closing remarks.
I'm not a politician, so I do not have closing remarks, but thank you very much for having me, and I hope to participate more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Masood. The honor was all ours. Thank you, people. Good evening, and share our links. Invite more and more people. As you can see, inclusion is something that we all need in our society. Like one person said in our platform today, you're either a parent today or a parent tomorrow. So you never know what's waiting for you. Even as a young person, you're welcome to join. And I'm going to share a link for Masood's work in our support group. So you will get to follow and see his cartoons and a lot of work that he has done. And yeah, so I'm grateful for your time this evening. Thank you so much, and see you again next Tuesday. We have an amazing session coming up. We meet every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 9. Thank you, guys, and have a wonderful evening. Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Welcome, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Asante.
Asante sana. I'm seeing
Lona
someone.
hapa Mamaji.
There's someone who's raising their hand, I think. I don't know if you spoke. I'm sorry. Next week, come with your question.